Okay, so right now we're going to discuss something crazy. It's a really big controversy
Oh,
that
it
we've
is
been
it?
talking about for the last 16 minutes.
Oh man,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
excited.
We're gonna talk about who would win in a fight, Jesus or Moses.
Whoa, whoa.
So Scott, start off the thesis.
Well, I would have to say it would be Jesus because
Whoa! How could it possibly be Jesus? It's
oh
Moses. It's
because
so Moses. It's
because
so Moses.
Jesus would like God, he can just, do
What about
anything.
Moses? He had the big stick. He's like
Yeah,
Theodore
yeah,
Roosevelt. He had the big
he
stick
has a
policy.
stick. He has a stick.
Yeah.
But he's just a prophet. Jesus is, he's the big thing.
What do you mean he's the big thing?
He's got, the holy
The holy
everything.
what? The holy everything?
The holy everything.
But Moses had the stick.
Moses, I don't care if Moses had a stick. Jesus has everything in the universe.
You know what, Scott? You know what, Scott? Jesus does not have everything in the universe, okay? Okay, Jesus died like twice, okay? Moses only died once.
Ooh.
And Jesus said that he died for their sins, but there's still sin everywhere, so he died for nothing. Moses actually got the Jews into the desert and into the promised land. Okay?
Ooh. But
What did Jesus
he
do?
did
What
that.
did Jesus do? Jesus was just like, I'm gonna stand here at a T and die.
But Moses did that because God wanted him to do it, and Jesus is God. Therefore, he only did it because Jesus told him to do
Wait,
it.
hold on. So Jesus told Moses to do something.
Yeah, and Moses did it because Moses is Jesus' bitch.
But didn't all the events that happened with Moses happen in BC times?
Yeah, but
Before
Jesus is
Christ.
God. But no,
So
yeah,
you're
but no,
telling me
no,
that
no,
Christ told
no, no.
Moses something
Oh no,
before
no,
Christ
no,
was even there?
no, 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 no. But just because he wasn't a man yet, he would still be God. So it's still Jesus, even though he isn't a person yet.
But I thought that Jesus was the Son of God.
Jesus is God. It's the whole
So
thing
Jesus
with
is the Son of Himself.
it's the whole thing with Christianity. He's God and a different. He's the same freaking thing.
I think we should all just convert to Buddhism. But we still got to
Yeah.
discuss this. Okay, Moses would definitely win because Moses has the stick, and Moses would take the stick and shove it up Jesus' until it came out of his mouth, and then he'd make a kebab, a Jesus kebab.
I I don't know how to counter that. Well, Jesus, he can turn water into wine.
And then Moses would split that water, and then he'd have two wines.
No, no, no. He'd split the water, and then Jesus would have two wines, and then he would give one wine to Moses and have one wine for himself, and they'd all just have nice wine
No,
together.
no, 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 no. You see, Jesus would have all the wine. That's why when you go into church and then they're like, okay, guys, let's have some of the blood of Jesus, it's wine. Because he was so hammered all the time, his blood literally turned to wine. So what he would do, if they were fighting, is that he would, like, drink gallons and gallons of wine and then just fall down because he's so drunk and just go all everywhere. And then he would get stoned, and by stoned I don't mean marijuana stoned. I mean they throw rocks at him like they did in those days.
Well, you know what? Moses listened to a burning bush. Like a burning bush talked to him and said, "You know what? I'm just gonna do what this bush tells me to do." You know what? He just didn't question it.
Well,
Like
you're
he
not
just
supposed to question it.
you're not supposed to.
If you walked outside and then there was like a burning tree that said hey Sarl, come here and eat my fruit, what would you do?
I would probably check myself into a mental ward.
Well, they didn't have those back then, so all
What?
he could do was he wasn't
Just
gonna go
listen.
there and tell all the other Jews that hey guys, there's a burning bush over there because they'd be like oi.
They might. They might.
Oh man,
Yeah,
oh man, oh man,
You
low
know.
main.
Low main.
Do you know why the main is low?
Why is the main low?
Because Moses split the sea and sank it.
No.
It's not.
So
It's definitely
wait.
not the
So,
Spanish in 1898.
so then the United States declared war on Moses?
Um, no. You see, Moses blamed it on the Spanish, and this is off topic anyway. Okay, so Moses would so easily win, so easily.
No, no. I,
Yes.
I, I I still have to say it would be Jesus.
No, it couldn't be Jesus. I'm just telling you, it could not be Jesus. Okay, Moses would do it. Moses would so easily win that Moses would be like, I don't even need to do this. It's
But
too easy.
but Jesus would have all those followers on his side, and he's got a lot of those
Moses
people.
has a lot of followers. He had people following him for 40 years.
Yeah, but
When
like
you have people
Jesus.
following you for 40 years, they will do anything for you.
Yeah,
Those
but
those are your homies. So You see, Moses would just so obviously win. It's so simple.
No, it's
Yes.
not. It's not.
Jesus would not have a chance against Moses.
Why?
Because Jesus would be frolicking on his water, going, "Oh, I can walk on water. You know, density don't affect me." And then Moses would be like, "Yo, bitch!" Slam his stick into the ground, and then the water would split, and then Jesus would fall, and then Moses would be like, "Eh, suck it, bitch," and then hit it back into the ground, and the water would be like, "Shh," and then
No,
he'd drown.
I think if Jesus would know that's coming, and then he'd turn it into wine because Moses can
And
split
then he'd drink it
water.
because he's a drunk. We've been over this.
But can Moses split wine?
Oh.
Yeah. And I think Jesus can probably walk on wine too. So
Do you really
he
think
could
he
turn.
can? I
think,
mean, that's kind of the same question. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus can walk on water, but can he walk on wine just as well as Moses can split water, but can he
Wine.
split wine?
Whoa. Well, we ask some questions and we just find some more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing like that. It doesn't. We don't really get the answers.
I really guess so, but
I don't know.
I guess so, but as long as they're fighting, Jesus does not stand anything. He doesn't stand a chance. He doesn't stand anything really. He's
But
just.
you know what? If Moses killed Jesus, Jesus will come right back because that's what he does. He rises 3 days later. It takes him 3 days to respawn, but he respawns nonetheless.
That's way more than enough time to get prepared. Okay?
You know,
Okay, Moses would be like, okay, I kill him. And then he would be like, okay, I got 3 days to get ready. And then he'd do some massive training. He'd take off his shirt, and he'd have his big Jew six-pack, and he'd be punching lambs and killing lambs and putting the blood of lambs on doors so the angel of death doesn't kill his child, and then he'd kill more lambs and punch more lambs and do a whole bunch of other shit with lambs. Because
But you know what?
Jews like lambs and
God
stuff
would
like
be
that.
like, Moses, you're just a prophet. You're disposable. I can get more of you people. And, this is Jesus. He's my guy here. So then God would be like, fuck you, Moses. And, And God would take the stick back. God would
No.
say, Moses, I'm revoking your stick privileges.
And then
Give
he'd
me
take
your
the stick
fucking
and he'd be like, no, you can't take my fucking
No,
stick.
God
And then he'd
would
throw
take
the
the
stick
stick
at God, and then it'd probably like go through a cloud or something. I don't know.
No,
I don't exactly know where God presides.
I don't know either.
I don't know if he lives in like a cloud or. Oh no! Yeah, he'd throw it at the bush. He'd throw it at the bush because
Then it
you
would
should throw a
burn.
wooden staff at a burning bush.
Yeah, then the staff would burn, and then he wouldn't have any staff anymore.
Well, I mean, maybe he'd think before he threw a piece of wood into a fire, but I don't know. He's
He doesn't
crazy,
really
man.
think. He listens to a burning bush, and he just does what it says. It's not thinking.
When there's a talking, inanimate plant just telling you to go on top of a mountain and get these 10 rules that he could have just given him down there. But he told you to go do that. You do it. You do it.
Like, why? He just does this shit. Like, he just doesn't question it. He just kind of goes along like, oh, the bush is talking now. This is logical.
Well, do you question your parents, Sarl?
Yes, yes, I do.
You do question your parents?
Yes,
well,
I
they
do.
talk.
If they, but they're not bushes.
Well, your mom.
Well,
she.
Like
yeah.
if my mother went and said something ridiculous, like tell me to do something ridiculous, obviously I'd question it. But
Go
you know
clean
what?
your room.
Like that's not ridiculous, And she's not a burning bush. If a burning bush told me to go clean my room, I might not want to clean my room now.
What if it was just like a complete pigsty, and then you're like, that bush has a point.
that
Bush has a point.
And I would say maybe.
And I'm
the
not talking about
bush-
George W. Bush.
And-
Definitely not. If George W. Bush told you to go clean your room, I'd say up yours.
I'd say-
yours, Georgie.
I'd say there are no WMDs in my room.
Stay out of my room.
Don't invade.
There
my room.
are no weapons of mass destruction here. And then he's like, okay, send in the troops. They send the troops into your room.
There are no WMDs here. But like
But
if-
Moses would so win.
No, but if the bush was like telling me to clean my room and it was a mess, then I'd think, maybe the bush is really my brain. I'm hallucinating, and my brain's like, oh, Sarl, you should clean your room. Maybe it's the bush is just your brain, putting your own thoughts.
Well, if
onto
you could
bushes.
think that, wouldn't Moses think that too?
No, because he just thinks it's a bush. I don't get it. Like he just does it. He just does.
I still think that Moses would win. It's so Moses.
I still think it's Jesus.
That's so Moses.
No, that's so Jesus.
That's so Raven.
No.
It's kind of like Raven, but it's Moses.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
Jesus.
they're all good. They're all good.
Low main.
Oh yes, the main is low, and so is Moses, and
Moses
so
is
is
low.
Jesus. But Jesus is lower.
No.
Jesus, Moses might die when he's fighting Jesus, but Moses would take out 100 Jesuses. Jesus. Sorry, you take out 100 Jesus.
But every time he takes down Jesus, Jesus just comes back.
But the thing with Jesus and him, coming back is that Moses would probably kill Jesus so many times that maybe his staff would break, and Moses would have to pick up the dead Jesuses and beat the living Jesus with the dead Jesuses. Jesus.
I think when you have one person against someone who can just infinitely respawn, eventually Moses would lose, even if the first Jesus didn't get him. So
But
in the end,
but what you're saying,
Jesus win.
What you're saying, well, in that case, Jesus would win. But what you're saying is that in a fight between them one-on-one, Moses would win if there was just one-on-one. No responding.
No, I'm just saying, even if by some strange chance Jesus lost to Moses, Jesus could just keep going. Jesus wouldn't lose to Moses on the first time. Jesus would beat him again and again and again, because he's Jesus.
Okay, now we're going to evaluate the strengths, their weaknesses, and, all the other stuff. So Moses has the stick.
He has the stick.
He has a bitchin' beard. He has Jewish followers.
Weaknesses. He listens to burning bushes.
He listens to burning plants. Oh wait, no, sorry. He can also split seas. He also has Jewish followers, and those are his weaknesses. Now, Jesus.
He's the Son of God. Boom.
He's the Son of God. He can walk on water. He can turn water into wine.
Yeah, he's got no weaknesses.
Weaknesses, crucifixion.
And I guess
crucifixion.
I guess that's his only. But then
he doesn't have Jewish followers. But I guess it's actually maybe a strength.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does have Jewish followers.
Well, not as many. I mean, no, he doesn't. No, everybody that follows Jesus is Catholic.
I'm talking about his original followers.
Nah, that isn't. No, I'm saying if they fought today.
They were all Jews. They were all Jews.
Everybody's Jewish. You know that? Let's just make a blanket statement. Everybody's Jewish, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody's Jewish.
They're all Jewish.
Viewer, you're Jewish.
Yep. What if the viewer?
Happy day. You're Jewish now.
Oh.
Cut off the tip of your.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Now you're Jewish. Unless you're a female, then you gotta read up.
All right. Moving on.
Okay, so with all those strengths and weaknesses, it all comes out to one big mathematic equation.
And that says Jesus wins.
No, I have all the calculations right here. It's Moses plus divided by Jesus equals square root of God minus Power Rangers squared.
Totally.
And it all comes out to Moses. And
exactly.
And that's the winner, Moses.
Mm-hmm.
That was our
that was fascinating.
So good day. And and maybe we'll have another argument or something.
Yeah, low main.
Yeah, the main is low. Remember that, the main is low. Goodbye.
Goodbye.